According to the agenda, the first order of business today will be Angie Campbell.
Okay. Last meeting, you guys had reinstated the Personnel Committee and had assigned 3 council members, a commissioner, and the county auditor. I'm requesting that Human Resources be a non-voting member of the Personnel Committee, and that in conjunction with county attorney on an at-need basis also be a part of that committee as well.
Yeah, this makes good sense to me.
Yeah, sounds reasonable.
I'm not calling for a motion, I'm just calling for any objections, I guess. Would anybody object to the Angie and the attorney being part of the Personnel Committee as we re-establish that committee?
That's my motion.
Well, I don't think we need to do it with a motion, it's just basically assignment,
I
so.
just think that makes sense.
Council will move forward then by adding Angie and the attorney to the Personnel Committee. Thank you very much.
Non-voting.
Correct, non-voting.
Todd Geiger, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
First off, I'd just like to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to come in and share about our 4-H youth program here in the county. And what I'm handing you is just kind of a update of what we have going on with our 4-H youth program. Kind of talk a little bit about some background information about our 4-H program, and then kind of update you on what we've accomplished in the last year and maybe even some new things that we've done so far this year. So our traditional 4-H program is available to all kids in the county, grades 3 through 12. We also have a mini 4-H program that's open to any child, kindergarten through 2nd grade. Kids used to have to be a resident right here in Whitley County in order to participate in a county's 4-H program. That's no longer the case. That kind of went away back when schools really no longer had borders. You could go wherever you wanted to. So you'll see down through there, we actually, in 2017, we had over 140 youth that participated right here in our Whitley County 4-H program that were out-of-county students. So that's quite a large number. We actually also have a handful of kids that live outside the state of Indiana that participate in our 4-H program. Anybody have a guess on the farthest away that we had youth participate right here in Whitley County last year?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, no. That's good. There actually is a county just south of us that had 2 children from China that participated in our 4-H program.
Nice.
We had 2 youth last year from California. They have family that live in the county, and they come back every summer and they enroll in our 4-H program and participate here. So that's kind of unique. Looking back in the past year, in 2017, we had 770 kids in our 4-H youth program. That's an increase of 22 kids from 2016. We had 653 kids that were in our traditional 4-H program, so that's 3rd grade through 12th grade. We had 117 kids that were a part of our mini 4-H program. We had 160 adult volunteers, so those are adults that have went through kind of all of our background checks, and they signed up to say, hey, I do want to say that I am going to be a 4-H volunteer and I work with youth on a regular basis. So that does not include the people that you see the week of fair that are in the concession stands helping out or taking tickets at the grandstands, or even some of the adults that you'll see at some of the shows that are working ringside or anything like that. That does not include all of them. Little update from where we're at this year number-wise. Our advertised enrollment ends January 15th, so that's online. That's true and not true. We have to advertise that deadline because of state deadlines, particularly for the livestock projects. If you aren't enrolled by then, some of the livestock project deadlines come and go, and so if we advertise it later than that, then that means those kids don't have the opportunity to be in those livestock projects because those deadlines have already come and gone. So enrollment is still open. Kids can still enroll in 4-H. As of yesterday, our current number is 796, so we're already up 26 over where we were last year in July. I look for those numbers to get over 800 this year. Adult volunteers is a little bit of concern. You'll see that we're down 29 volunteers in 2017 from what we were in 2016.
Why do you think that is?
Volunteerism nationwide is down. I don't view that as a 4-H problem. I think that just that's kind of the society swing right now. Volunteerism is down. Right now, our adult volunteer number is like 148, so we're down even further than where we were. It's a challenge, but I think that's a challenge for any other nonprofit organization getting adults plugged in. So, more background: we have 36 total clubs in our 4-H program. 15 of these are township clubs. So in all the townships here in Whitley County, we have 15 township clubs. Some townships obviously have more than one club based on the number of youth that we have. 21 of our clubs are project-based clubs. So that means all of our livestock projects have their own individual club that focus just on that project. We also have non-livestock clubs, such as we have tractor club, we have scrapbooking, we have a rocketry club. Lots of different clubs out there for kids to get plugged into. This past year, we had 58 total projects that we offered kids. Of those 58 projects, does anybody know how many of those are actually livestock related? Number one answer across the country, I think I shared this last year, whenever you say 4-H to any youth or any adult, doesn't matter whether it's right here in Whitley County or I go to California, they tell you when they hear 4-H, they think animals, they think livestock, they think farm. So of our 58, any guess on how many of those are livestock related?
17.
Not very many.
12.
9. And that includes cat and dog. So the ones you actually see the week of fair is only 7. But as true with any fairgrounds, whether that be state fair or county fair, over 75% of the space you see on a fairgrounds is taken up by just those 7 projects. So that's the reason why people see that. So this current year, we are up to 61 projects that we're going to offer, so we increased by 3. And if you look on the back side, I'll kind of jump down. What we added to our traditional program this year is beekeeping, construction toys. So all those kids that are plugged into Legos, Connects, even clear down to Lincoln Logs. We have a project for those kids that can build whatever and bring that in and kind of show that. We introduced homemade ice cream this year. Our foods project in 4-H, I would say for about the last 12 years, have really taken a healthy kick. And coming from being a school teacher for 15 years, kids and healthy isn't always exciting. So I said, hey, we're 4-H. They get to show off their project for 6 days out of the year. Let's do something fun and food. So I said, why not? Let's do homemade ice cream. So the kids are going to have the opportunity to do recipes at home, make homemade ice cream, take pictures of them doing it, present a poster, and then actually during the fair, we're going to do a live homemade ice cream contest. So the kids are going to bring in their machines or however they want to make the homemade ice cream, and then we're going to have a panel of judges. Maybe some of you.
Taste test?
That's right. We're going to have a panel of judges do a taste test and select a winner there. So, the other new project that kind of doesn't go into a category is our mini 4-H livestock mentoring program. So this is new, and we are going to take those 117 to 120 minis. They have a project that is livestock related called Farm Animals. They don't ever have the opportunity to really be around the animals unless they have some at home of their own. They don't get to do anything at the fairgrounds anymore, so they're not hands-on with an animal. So this year we're going to partner them up with an older 4-H'er that's with that particular species. So if the child's interested in rabbit, they're interested in a feeder cat or in pigs or goats, we're going to partner them up with an older 4-H member. They're going to have the opportunity to go to that older mentor's home at least 3 times before the fair, learn about how they take care of the animal, where the animal lives, what the animal's name is, maybe help feed them, maybe help wash them depending on the size of the animal and how tame it is. And in the week of fair, during that species show at the fair, probably going to be at the end, we are going to have a mini mentor exhibition show where they will be able to be in the ring with their older mentor and simply be able to walk around the ring with mentored animals. So they won't be bringing their own animal, but they'll have that opportunity. When it comes to the companion animals, so cat, dog, pets, we're going to allow the minis to bring their own in, but they have to go through the training. So if they want to bring in their own dog, we want to make sure that that's not kind of like an off-the-farm dog or a dog that's never been around other dogs. So they actually have to come into the dog clinics. So they will bring their own dog in. They'll go through the same classes that the traditional 4-H'er does. Same thing with cat. And then during their show, they will be able to bring in their own dog or their own cat. So we're hoping to just build some energy with our many 4-H'ers in terms of the livestock projects and kind of get them plugged in. Livestock projects, I think you could probably say the general statement around the country are on the decline, which matches what we see, what farms are doing around the country. We have less kids, believe it or not, today than we did just 3 years ago, right here in Whitley County, that are exhibiting livestock that themselves nor their parents ever came off of a farm. So they don't really have the history of raising livestock. So as that continues to go away, you continue to see the drop in our livestock projects. Here in Whitley County, we're a little bit unique. Our livestock projects, as all of you can tell, stay really strong. I mean, our barns stay full. We got a lot of kids in our livestock project. So we want to kind of continue that, but in order to kind of merge that gap, we want to get those kids excited about being able to be around livestock. So some non-traditional new things that we're trying this year. Last year we rolled these out. These are Spark clubs. Spark doesn't stand, it's not an acronym. It's simply taking an idea or a topic out there that builds excitement in youth and gets them plugged into our 4-H program. Last year, one of the new ones I talked about was the remote-controlled aircraft one that we rolled out, the UAVs. That's where we have an adult club in Whitley County that flies remote-controlled aircraft every weekend during the summer out at what used to be the old Whitley County dump up off 500 North. So we had 19 kids in that last year. They had a blast, loved it. So we're offering that again this year. That's going to be this spring. New ones, remote control cars, so RC cars. Once again, we have an adult club in Whitley County I didn't know anything about. Kids are going to get plugged in there. One that's actually starting this Thursday is Junior Chef Academy. So we have a chef here in Whitley County. She contacted me and said, hey, are you looking for someone to do something with cooking? I said, absolutely, that sounds awesome. She said, how about I come in and do 4 sessions and we'll teach some different cooking skills. We'll have the kids make a meal each time we meet. And then how about for kind of a celebration, the last one, we'll have the kids plan, prepare, and cook a meal for them and their parents. So they're going to do that starting this Thursday. We have our robotics club. Our office owns 6 robots. This is the Lego Mindstorm, so we're basic robotics. Programmable, they move forward, backwards. You can program them to recognize colors. They can pick things up, build all sorts of crazy designs using the Lego. 24 in that, I think, right now. We're to the point right now we've outgrown our space. They meet in our largest room in our extension office on Monday nights. We've outgrown our space to the terms of we got to be somewhere that's Wi-Fi compatible, number one, because each one of the robots has to have its own laptop to program with. So, but that's an awesome problem to have. Tons of kids want to get involved in this. Lots of schools offer this, and I talked with them a lot. I don't want to compete with what they do. And coming from education and being a teacher formerly at Northern Heights, myself and another teacher started their robotics program. But with the schools, their programs are always in the fall or late fall, but there's nothing in the spring. So that's why we offer ours in the spring. 4-H does have a statewide competition that we eventually want to get plugged into, but we're so new with robotics we haven't went to that yet. So that's kind of a work in progress. Another one that we did that was robotics-based over Christmas break, I partnered with Noble County, and we offered just a 1-day, 6-hour workshop where we have kids come in and we taught them how to code and program with the robots, how to build different designs in the morning, and then in the afternoon we kind of cut them loose, and we had all these different scenarios and tracks laid out in the 4-H center, and the kids had competitions on who's could go the fastest or do the most turns or follow whatever pattern. It was awesome. I think we had 18 kids involved in that. They loved it. And the fascinating thing about that is where we're reaching that audience that 4-H has not reached in decades. Those kids that come off the farms that we're currently reaching, and the kids that when they hear the word 4-H, they're like, oh, I don't live in the country and I don't raise livestock, so 4-H isn't me. Of Whitley County, we had 14 kids that were in that. Of those 14, 12 of them were brand new to 4-H. Had never had any experience with 4-H, never saw themselves as 4-Hers. So that was awesome to connect with a new audience there. The other new program that I started up last year called 4-H STEM Connection. This is where I took our older 4-Hers that are part of a program that we call Junior Leaders. That's actually a project they can take. That is for 7th grade through 12th grade. Those older kids in that group that can drive, when I came in, they said, we really want to get plugged in and do more things with kids. We want to do more hands-on with kids. I know they were originally thinking they wanted to do more hands-on with 4-H kids. Coming from the schools, STEM is huge. The more we can get STEM plugged into kids, but in schools, STEM is hard because you're looking at class sizes of 25 to over 30, and how does one person do hands-on STEM activities with that quantity of kids without things ending up on the ceiling or stuck to somebody's hair or somewhere where it doesn't belong. So I pitched it to our junior leaders of developing the STEM team where we go out to schools if they invite us in. We develop all these hands-on STEM activities that deal everything. We got technology-based ones. We got food science. We got engineering. Currently, I think right now, kind of in our toolbox, I think we have like 15 or 16 different activities. These kids come in after school. We practice these. A school contacts us, say, hey, can you come out and work with our 2nd and 3rd grade or 4th and 5th grade? And we take 3 or 4 activities and we go out for about 2 hours and we do hands-on activities with them. The kids lead everything. I'm just the supply boy when we go. So they're like, oh, we need paper towel, or hey, can you reset those tables? That's all I do. I don't do any of the instruction at that time. It's all up to the kids. They love it. This last Friday we were out at Coessie and worked with all their 4th and 5th grade, which was about 115 kids. We go back this Friday to Coessie to work with their 2nd and 3rd grade. This year we were already out at Northern Heights back in the fall. We're going again in May. I'm currently working with Cherubusco Elementary to get plugged in back out there. Last year we had 9 different events that we went to. The feedback has been amazing. The high school principals are all on board. They love it because we're giving these teens the opportunity to come in and teach and do something in the STEM field that they don't offer because they don't have anything when these kids are going out and teaching that. So they're all on board when these kids need out of school to go to this program and then obviously back to school. So, questions for me? I know that was a lot in a short period of time.
It's a lot of good information. Thank you very much for that update and report.
Yep. Thank you all once again for letting me come.
Thanks, Todd. DJ Sigler, please.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
This is kind of a joint appearance with Commissioner Schrump, but we wanted to update the members of the council on the jail task force and what's been going on with that particular project. For reasons that defy logic and past understanding, I am the chairman of that particular task force. And it's a serious problem in this community, the non-compliance with the law at the Whitley County Jail. Despite the best efforts of Sheriff Gatton, we have a crowded, very busy facility that at some point the state of Indiana is going to come in and make our lives very, very difficult if we don't problem. Thankfully, we've been working diligently towards a solution. We're not anywhere near a place where I'm prepared to give you a formal report because we don't know what the solution is going to be or what form it's going to take or what it's going to cost. But both George and I felt like it would be a good idea for us to start this dialogue now before we come to a point where we do have some pretty serious deadlines, both financial and where we stand at this particular point is we have all the stakeholders have been meeting. I think we've had several meetings over the last several months. It includes representatives of the probation department, the sheriff's department, my office, probation, commissioners, all the stakeholders that see and handle the folks that pass through the Whitley County Jail and the criminal justice system here in this county. All of those folks have been meeting, trying to first understand the problem and then address it. And I think ultimately what we've decided and what we've seen is that it's going to require us to be better at handling what we call technical violators. A lot of folks in the jail or passing through the jail are people who've been admitted to the terms of probation or suspended sentence and have violated those terms. They've already been convicted, they've already done their time. They're supposed to be on probation doing the good work of becoming a citizen again, and they've relapsed or fallen back into criminal behavior. And then they take up space at the jail as a result of their noncompliance. Some of those folks need to be in that jail, absolutely. You get some bad actors in that group. A lot of them, however, aren't necessarily your hardened criminals. They're people who've made technical rules violations. So we're exploring the possibility of what to do with folks like that, as opposed to pure incarceration in the jail cell that costs money and resources and forces us into the non-compliant zone with the Indiana Department of Correction. So we've, the commissioners approved Michael Kinder and Sons to study from a space and feasibility standpoint whether it's even possible to have a technical, we're calling a technical rules violator center. At this point, we're looking at whether this facility as a part of what we've already established out there. We don't know that yet, and we don't even know what the size and what the scope of it is. We're definitely in an information gathering phase. Sheriff Gatton's been very good about providing, the bulk of the responsibility for the information gathering lies with the sheriff because he's in charge of the jail. And so Kinder and Sons has been working diligently towards making certain we have all the information we need to make an informed decision and bring the information to you for an informed decision about. Principally, the purpose of my appearance here today with Commissioner Schrum is simply to let you know we're working on that problem. We were given 180 days to find a solution in July of last year. We have, by virtue of I think our good work in this vein, been granted an extension up and through May 1st, and we're assured that if we continue to show progress toward a goal of reducing the jail population and being in compliance with the law, that we should have no problem in continuing to work with the Department of Corrections. We're working hard, we're keeping our nose to the grindstone. Any questions that you all have, George and I would be happy. I did just want to make this initial appearance to let you I'll bring you the information when we have it. I'll take any questions.
Any questions of DJ? I think you're off the hook, sir. We know you like to speak, but we're not going to employ that from you any longer.
Occasionally, I even make sense. So
now you know why I let him do the presentation.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Mark Sturtevant, please.
Okay, I think you also received the packet of information for all the ones we're going to talk about. If anyone doesn't have it, let me know. Jump right in who's on the list here. The first one's already been taken care of by the commissioners in the meeting yesterday. A few years back, we started a heat pump replacement schedule for the courthouse, and we were tentatively replacing 5 a year. Back this year to ask for funding to replace an additional 5, if that is possible. They've been running about $7,500 a piece on average. That's why you got the total there, $37,500. Do you want me to just run down all this? Or how do you want to do this?
Well, I guess that would depend on the familiarity with the council with their packet, so I guess I would encourage you to be detailed unless you're asked to not be as detailed.
Can you stop at this project or just keep going?
Well, you mean as far as overall approval? I think we probably should, How would the council like to address this? You want to address one item at a time, or will you want to wait until the presentation's made and address it all as a whole?
I think probably ought to take them one at a time, and I'd like to hear what the commissioners have, you've done some planning on this as far as costs. I'd like to hear that with each one.
So we'll stop at each one and break it down and then go from there.
Again, the past 2-3 years, we've been replacing 5 at a time. On your overall sheet, it kind of tells you what's left. There are 9 heat pumps remaining. If we do 5 this year, that would be 4 for 2019. Or we can turn that around, however you want to do that.
I didn't have it.
We've been doing about 5 a year.
So you're addressing the 5th item down in the 2nd column in courthouse repairs, the heat pumps.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, and when you said the first item had been taken care of, were you talking about the jail chiller?
I'm sorry, on the,
We don't have that.
you don't have, oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna bring up the government center panic buttons, but that's already been addressed yesterday, I apologize, and taken care of, so.
Okay. I don't think that we have the same outline as what you're looking at, Mark, is the reason there's some confusion here. So just lead us through what you would like to present to us, and we'll find it.
Would be the 2018 heat pump replacement schedule. As far as replacing 5 this year.
And did you have a packet for us on that?
No.
Okay, so you're just going to present,
We've been doing year to year.
okay?
Do you want to continue to do that 5 a year, or do you want to change that, or? I have had to order one already, for Judge Rensler's office, his staff. That is on order and scheduled to be replaced shortly here.
So we have 9 heat pumps that need to be replaced. How many are there total, Mark?
There are 19 in the courthouse.
And how many have been replaced?
10.
Was that just part of your normal maintenance budget?
You had asked me to bring it to you every year, and you were paying for it out of cum cap in the past 2-3 years.
You guys got a recommendation?
Yeah, our recommendation was a favorable pass on that.
For 5 or what?
For 5. And that's what we've done for the last 3 or 4 years here, because we didn't have the funds to do the 19 at one time. So we just broke it up into 4 to 5 a year until we can get it done.
What's the life expectancy on a heat pump, Mark?
The existing ones or the new ones?
Or the new ones?
The new ones, 10 to 15.
Okay, so once we get that project completed next year, we should have a good 10 years before we'll need to address that in our,
That is correct.
and that's something that, with you being proactive on courthouse maintenance issues, are we going to try to work that into our budget on a replacement rotation like we've sort of started over the last 3 or 4 years? Is that the plan?
The replacements, you want it to come out of the regular maintenance budget?
I think as we move forward after we get them all replaced, is to work that into our maintenance budget.
Yes.
Would that be appropriate, or do we still want to keep that as a cum project?
I would say it could be worked into the general maintenance budget.
Okay, so you're asking for 5, and George, you guys have a favorable approval to take that out of cum cap?
Yes.
The amount of monies requesting is $67,500, and that is for 9 rather than 5?
That's for the whole 9.
And what would 5 figure out to be?
37.5, is it?
37.5.
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we approve 5, the purchase of 5 from the cum cap funds.
I have a motion and a call for a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Now I'd ask for any further discussion on the subject, please. Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion made to replace 5 heat pumps this year, please respond by raising your right hand. And all those opposed, the same. Let it be shown that it passed unanimously with everybody that is here, 6-0.
I would like to also mention, though, I'd really rather not have it in the maintenance budget, but I'd really rather he come back to us. Because my thought is that if we put it in a regular maintenance budget then we'll find some way to say, well, we already got the money, and we'll spend it on something else anyway. So I'd really rather not put it into the budget. That's just my thoughts.
Any other thoughts on that?
Well, we just don't put it in.
Yeah.
Budget time,
Right,
we decide
yeah.
down whether to put it in or not.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an item that when it does come up 10 years from now to go back into a budget rotation, that will be clearly identified as the fact that there's an increase for that particular year, and then going forward, probably for the next 5 years like we have in this rotation. So I think it would probably be safe to address that in 10 years.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
One thing I'd like to say is we've gone forward quite a few years on this, and Mark is giving us a good 5-year view of what's going to be coming up in our maintenance. So that's going to help from
yeah.
here forward.
Yeah.
But because we've got a good priority list and issues that are coming up.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for that, too. I think you're being very proactive in maintenance, getting the maintenance schedule around. So, okay, so the next item, please.
The courthouse chimney restoration project, that's at $70,879. In your package, if you've seen the pictures, I tried to supply you some pictures of the extensive deteriorated state that the chimneys are in. The courthouse, there are 4 square chimneys and 4 round ones. They're not in use. They've been abandoned, but for aesthetic purposes, they're pretty much on the building.
Mark, I have a question. Why was this not addressed when they did all the mortar work on the rest of the courthouse?
Last year?
Yeah.
Last year's project was only to identify that first section of the tower in the courthouse. There was a section from the asphalt roof line to the louvers. That's all that section, or that's all that project was identified to address. If you look at your sheet,
Yeah, why wasn't this included? Why wasn't this included? That's and taken care of at the same time.
well, if you look at your sheet, I can answer that question. If you look at your overall facility review sheet on the courthouse, there are multiple projects for the courthouse. Like when we had the moisture problem in the courthouse, we put the crawl space ventilation in, but we still haven't addressed the exterior restoration at $350,000. So at that time, there was $100,000 to repair the section 1 of the courthouse. There was an additional $71,000 for the chimneys. There was an additional $350,000 for the 4 sides of the courthouse. And I don't even have numbers yet for the metal restoration work and the cost work. I mean, it would be $1.5 million, I would have been coming. So what I did off to the left here of your sheet, I prioritized by what I'm saying the need is. So right now I'm saying the chimney restoration is top priority. Yes, we still need to do that exterior restoration, but that can go for a little ways. Next year I want to come to you for the metal restoration. That's around the clock and the bell. That's starting to deteriorate.
I thought was, while we had the scaffold set up and everything, that would have been
The reason I didn't
not so
bring it to you-
redundant about doing it every time. Yeah.
Well, this work that I'm asking you for today can be done from the left. So we don't need to have the scaffolding back on site. The metal work, that may be a different story.
What are we talking about specifically, metalwork?
A picture of
Talking about the copper up on top of the
not the
dome?
copper dome. If you look at the clock on the picture on the calendar over there, that entire section where the clock is all metal. It's just painted to look like limestone.
Okay.
That is rusty. And the tops of the peaks, they're all metal, galvanized metal that are painted.
We replaced that top dome a few years ago.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right.
That's still in good shape. It's the galvanized metal that's going to need addressed. And that's what I want to bring to you next year. But right now, I mean, I guess in hindsight, I should have just gave you everything all at once. But it would have been $1.5 million, $2 million up front.
And the chimney restoration project then will be paid for,
I'm asking you to fund that out of cum cap.
And that will be in our request for the CEDAT funds. The commissioners have talked to Mark about this, and we've picked some critical items that we'll pay for out of CEDAT with the approval of the council.
when the seat that that'll be in what you're presenting to us later.
Yes.
At this meeting is your seated budget, and it will include this project for the 70,000. So I guess I'm unclear on why we need to have an approval to pay for it out of cum cap, if you're going to pay for it out of seated.
Well, it hasn't been approved by the council yet, but it's in our seated program.
And when I presented these packets 2 weeks ago, I guess I didn't know they were going to approve that. And
Okay. So that being said, I guess I would entertain a motion to approve this repair project, and it's going to be paid for out of the commissioner's seated budget that they're going to be providing to us.
Should we put this particular request on hold until the seated budget's presented to us and then approve it at that time?
Yeah, I'd like to see the seated budget before I decide whether or not it should be paid with seated or cum cap.
I know the commissioners have worked hard on that, and I'd like to hear what their answer with through seated is to these issues.
Does everyone have the seated program, a copy of that? If not, could you get us copies?
I don't have it.
One of the things I will say, Mark, that as I look on this repair of the chimneys, that I'm very comfortable with, and that is they're going to do 3/4 of an inch or until sound mortar is reached, and then it will be tucked in. That's the way I thought it should have been done last year. That you need to get back in there and get good mortar and tuck it in, not just put with a cake decorator and squeeze mortar in 3/4 of an inch, because otherwise you're going to be doing it again in just a few years. It needs to be tucked in right. I understand why the contractor wants to do that. It's quick and easy.
well, the industry standard is 3/4 inch.
Now,
But if they cut it back to 3/4 and it's still crumbling, then
it
they
needs
take
to
it
be,
all out.
it needs to be taken care of.
Okay, let's go ahead and put that on the back burner right now and go ahead with the next project, and we'll address that after we look at the seated budget.
Okay, the jail recreational area. This can get a little confusing, I apologize. A year ago, we asked Martin Riley to look at the structure in the recreational area, specifically the 2 columns that support the overhead door dividing that recreational area. It's had some fractures in it, you can see in your pictures. Okay, they came back to us. You can read the report. I don't need to go through that. On page 8, it outlines their opinion of probable cost, and breaks that down into pointing that area, the injection, the epoxy, the metal coping. That total project came in at $11,475. There's some additional work that needs to be done inside the recreational area of and in that additional work is where I asked Atlas to come in, and they proposed the $6,973 in additional repairs. In that $6,973 includes the $1,430 that Martin Riley identified as Atlas to take care of. So what I'm asking for is to repair that recreational area inside is $17,018.
$17,000.
And that was that part of the seeded plan as well?
No, that is not. And if you'll look at the pictures on that, and that is probably one of the biggest issues that we've got in the jail right now is the restoration there, because there's cracks. And you can see it easily in the pictures that are here. And it is structural. Chad, project 12 on the seated is where you'll see what we proposed.
It makes good sense to me to get it fixed now before it costs more money to fix it later. The jail recreational repairs.
I was down yesterday, and I was also looking at the south side, the southeast corner, and the south side of the recreational room, the brickwork there. And it does need, I realize we're not talking about that specifically right now, but it does need retucked. I was kind of surprised at the shape it's in, but the thought that went through my mind as soon as I seen it was, we probably, I'm guessing we may have to do something far as expanding the jail, at least in the future. And how much money do we want to put into that? If maybe, I don't know this for a fact, but we may have to just go right south of the jail to expand it. And therefore we'll be tearing it down, so how much money do we want to put into it before we tear it down? I mean, that's something to be keep in mind.
Yeah, until we come up with some kind of a plan, it might be prudent just to hold off on that part of it anyway.
Yes.
But I'd say we still have to maintain it while we have it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think Mark will tell you that the big issue is the cap on top, because there's water getting through the cap into the rest of the masonry. And
one of the things that kind of confused me a little bit too was that if I read this properly, they put some water up there and it didn't seem to go right on down. Unless I misread something, got confused. But they were going to put some wicking in the bottom.
Correct.
But if it's not going down, I don't know how good the wicking in the bottom, but it doesn't hurt anything, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, we'll be talking about the exterior after this project.
Yeah.
I would entertain a motion on this project request.
I saw move.
And I'll second. Where's the money coming
I was
from?
going to say, what accounts or what line items is this funding going to come from?
Does that come from Cume Cat?
So is that what you're making the motion to reflect? And Chad, your second?
I'll second as presented.
And the total amount is what figure?
$17,018.
That's come out of Cume Cat.
John, did you have any other input as far as the appropriateness of how it should be paid for?
No. We do have sufficient fundings in Cume Cap to 17,000.
That's building maintenance.
How much money do we have in cum cap? See it.
Spending harder this year, there will be a ton in there.
Just what the total is that we have in cum cap that's available.
Should be there.
183,510. Do we have any of that has been either committed or is being considered for commitment for any other project?
We just,
Not that I know of.
just approved 37.5 in the motion
Okay, for new pumps.
for that.
So that'd take it to right around 50,000.
150,000 minus 11, so we'll post down 139 if we approve this project.
I'm sorry. We're still making some final payments on the chiller. All that billing hasn't come in yet.
What's the estimate?
I don't know that number confirmed.
Was it under 100,000?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? This time I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor of approving this motion, please respond by raising your right hand. And all those opposed, the same. And it did pass 6-0. Okay.
Okay, the last item I have is the jail exterior masonry restoration. And that number came in at $94,884. Basically what that entails is cleaning the building, replacing approximately 20% of the mortar joints on the north, south, and east elevations. 40% of the masonry joints on the south and west elevation. We've identified approximately 225 bricks that need to be replaced. Included in this would be there are some stress fractures that need to be sealed. An application of penetrating water repellent. There's a section in the southeast corner of the foundation that needs to be epoxy. There's a crack in the foundation. And this does include 100% of cutting up and replacing the elastic sealants. That would be the limestone cap around the entire top of the jail, around the roof line, around all the limestone arches in the windows, anything that has a sealant, a urethane caulking, if you will. All that would be 100% cut out and replaced.
Does this include replacing the exterior doors?
This does not include replacing the exterior doors. I won't be bringing that to you. That's already been taken care of.
How is that being funded, Mark?
Sheriff, yeah. The doors?
Yeah.
Yes.
What what was the cost on the doors?
4,500. There are just two doors that are, the jambs are rusted out. So to replace those is 4,500.
And they're mortar filled.
Yes, they are.
Sheriff Gatton, what funds are you using to pay for those replacements?
We try to use some of the maintenance if we can, use commissary money.
How urgent is this project?
Some of it could be put off to next year. What really cannot be put off is that alternate I have on your sheet there, $11,073. That would include all the sealant, replacing all the sealant, especially around the limestone caps around the roof. That needs to be done because it's letting water into the brick and blowing the face of the bricks off. So if we didn't do the entire project in 94,885, we would at least need to fund $11,073 to stop the water from coming in. And that also includes fixing that fracture in the foundation.
The commissioners have talked about our program, and after talking to Mark a little bit about the urgency of the jail, we've got in our Project 12 on the plan is the courthouse north and south sidewalk, and that's $70,600. And what we suggested, if the council would like, we could use that $70,600 for the jail, and then all you'd have to do is fund the $24,000 to get that whole project done. Because, like Glenn said, it's bad. It's getting bad and getting worse all the time, and we need to get that done. That's because a jail project probably is 5 years away, and we can't let it deteriorate.
What is that going to do as far as the plans to get the sidewalks repaired, though, George?
Well, I think right now we've been leveling, just getting them leveled, and the issue is every year we're having to get them leveled, and it's costing us more to do that than it would to replace. But we can put that off another year. That's probably not as urgent as the jail.
So the effort to continue to level the sidewalks isn't necessarily tied in with the historical value of those sidewalks. It's just, there's no historical value to our sidewalks, right? Okay.
They've been replaced before.
Okay.
That consists of boring and putting
It's a
some type of material that levels
it's a
them?
lime slurry. It's lime and water mixed, and they pump it underneath the slabs, and it levels it. We spend about $3,000 to $4,000 every year, just going around identifying areas between the annex, the courthouse, the jail. We done a little bit last year up at the police, just trying to keep all the slabs in line.
Is it sinking or freezing and thawing?
Freezing and thawing.
So I would throw that out as an option. That
So I guess I would ask then, is the sidewalks is the jail more of a priority than getting the sidewalks fixed this year?
That bill hanging out in either one of them.
They're both important.
Yeah.
If you looked at your sheet of the facility overview, I identified, I think, the sidewalks as a number 4 in the project. I'm sorry.
7 and 8.
7 and 8 out there, 2 to 3 years. So if we did that next year, it would be fine.
And we're talking about the wide sidewalk that surrounds the outer edge of the courthouse property, up to the street.
That's what these numbers reflect in your sheet.
Okay.
They're all going to need addressed in the near future. But
We're not talking about the sidewalk that comes up to the courthouse, we're talking what surrounds the property that's right to the street.
that's what those numbers are in your, yes. The south is probably worse than the north.
One of the things that I did notice, Mark, was the insulator or whatever, when they pour concrete, a lot of times they'll put a little foam thing in there, and that's all deteriorated, and that's wide open for water to get down in there. That really probably should have been sealed with there's a regular sealer that they use. It's kind of a foam rubber type stuff they put in there, and that would help, probably help, an expansion.
So at this point, we're talking about when the seated plan's approved on it, changing the courthouse north and south sidewalks for $70,600, funneling that towards the repair of the jail, then we have to make up an additional approximately 24,000.
Yes.
Which would take out
What would be the exact number? 24?
285.
Okay, so I guess what we'll do then, moving forward, is we'll table this also until after we look and approve the seated budget, and then we will come back and make a decision on, after that, to either fund this for the additional 24,000 or to look at the alternate of the 11, or then we can still look at other options for funding if it's still the council's wish to completely fund that project otherwise. Any objections to that? Mark, what else did you have for us? Okay, could you please stay until we're finished, though, just in case something else comes up that we want to, somebody wants to throw by you? Thank you for that. Next item on the agenda will be addressing the temporary position in the assessor's office that we approved last month. Kim, would you like to, I know you're not on the agenda, but this is directly related to you. Would you come up and explain exactly where we're at on that and what we're doing, please?
I was here last month and brought to you the position to approve a temporary deputy position to bring Jamie Hatton in from the auditor's office. The goal was to make her my chief deputy, not knowing at the time that the actual IC code did not specify that she had to have her level 2 to be brought in, level 2 certification to be brought in as a chief deputy. So the proposal was to create a temporary chief deputy, or temporary deputy position until she receives her level 1 and level 2 certification, and then dissolve the temporary deputy position and appoint her chief deputy at that time. The code does not stipulate that a chief deputy in the assessor's office has to hold that level 2 certification to be a chief deputy. So we were able to bring her right into the chief deputy position. As she's already received her level 1 certification, she takes her level 2 exam next week. So there's no need to have that temporary position.
So we're okay with
Yeah.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to rescind what we approved last month for that temporary position.
What did we approve last month?
A temporary position to be put into place until she attained her certifications, which we've now found out aren't necessary, so she's being paid in accordance with the payroll system or the position that was already set up for that office.
I also move to rescind that.
I have a motion.
Second, I don't really need to do anything with it. It just goes away.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor respond by raising your right hand.
I abstain because of absence from the meeting.
And opposed? The show 5-0 vote with Councilman Barrett abstaining. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. So I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to the additional appropriation from the reassessment fund for Tammy's salary, is that, am I to come back obviously another time on that again, or?
We are, and hopefully today, we are going to be setting a meeting for the Personnel Committee and start our process on evaluating all that, moving forward with it. But yes, do please keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on with that, as we did say that we will entertain when you come back to us, making sure that that's retroactive to the date that you requested that.
I know last meeting also you had all, a couple of you, I think, Thor, you may have asked me, or one of you did, what the reassessment fund could be used for. And for those of you that had email, I sent out what the state had sent me back. And if you had a chance to look at that, in relation to my request for the additional appropriation for the deputy salary. And under the code for property assessment funds and the use of money for payments for salary of permanent staff or contractual services of temporary staff who are necessary to assist assessing officials. Under IC 6-1.1-5.5-3, an appropriation under this section must be approved by the fiscal body of the county after the review of the recommendation of the county assessor. However, in a county with a township assessor in every township, the county assessor does not review an appropriation under this section. Only the fiscal body must approve the appropriation under this section, which we do not have trustees anymore for that.
So your recommendation, I'm not talking for you, I'm trying to understand. So what I'm hearing you say is that your recommendation would be for council to move to have all of the salaries in your office paid for out of that fund and transfer it from county general?
Just the fact that I had asked for an additional appropriation for the one deputy who is performing the majority of her job description is through the reassessment responsibilities. You know, if you had a chance to look through this to notice that, you know, that she's paid out of that reassessment fund, her description was reevaluated based off the fact of our new cyclical reassessment that has now been in place.
The way I read that, though, we can pay all the salaries if we chose to out of that reassessment fund.
And that is what I took away from it as far as looking at what we could use that money for. And that's really the only thing that I saw that I thought that we could probably transfer other than what we're using it for now.
To me, there wouldn't be a reason to now, but at budget time, I think we could take a look at it.
Well, and I guess my question is,
We don't need to do anything.
you know, my approach to her request for her salary being an additional appropriation, you know, aside from maybe some of the other positions that may want to request for job reevaluation, for salary increase or whatever, if this kind of stands alone in the fact that it's coming out of the reassessment fund for that additional appropriation for her.
It does and it doesn't, and that's a very good question. And I think that's something that the Personnel Committee needs to evaluate, because I think that there's any, and we need to look at it on the county, through the county as a whole, if there's any positions that we can readdress on how we're able to compensate those out of funds like this rather than the general fund, which would free up the general fund then for other purposes. You're exactly right. We are going to explore that and try to be more diligent as far as identifying those opportunities. So, yes and no. We are going to look at it. It's going to be addressed, but I think it's something that, to give you an answer right now, we really need to get that Personnel Committee in gear again and get that meeting and start moving forward with how we're going to do it. But it is going to happen for you. It's just that, as Councilman Overdeer said, I think we're going to look at, too, the possibility of funding your entire department through those funds and giving us a little bit of relief in the county general. But we're going to move forward with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I think then that brings us to the Commissioner's report, please.
Okay. First and foremost, we've got the CETA plan that I've sent out that hopefully everyone's had a chance to take a look at that. Commissioners have gone over this and made sure that we feel comfortable with this, with the monies that we have. I'll go through this real quickly. Our Project 1 is the one that we always provide for Project 1. It's providing funds for administrative expenses to the EDC. It's right at $185,000, and I think we were at 178 last year. They've requested a little bit more this year. Project 2, any questions, you can go ahead and stop me at any time. Project 2 is the GIS projects, including but not limited to planning, centerline marking, aerial photography, and consulting services. That's something that we provide for our GIS for their programming every year at $25,000. Project 3, on-site, off-site improvements for economic development projects in Whitley County for $200,000. What we try to do is keep a line item open for if we do have a large project, economic development project come in for the county, that we've got monies that we can work with to aid in the projects, the larger projects like that.
So Project 3, George, could conceivably not even be touched?
Right.
Okay.
And there are times that we don't, and there are times that we use it for other things, just to, since we don't usually, if we don't see anything coming in the future, we'll use that money for other projects.
George, how much last year did you spend out of that?
We were right around 100,000.
So the other 100,000, what did you use that for?
That was encumbered to this year. We had, actually, Jim, we had $677,000 that we didn't spend last year that was encumbered to this year. So between we get a little over $1 million on our CETA program every year, so it was 1.677 that we had to work with this year. But we're required to spend 75% of that, and so we always just take that 75% and we'll tailor our projects for that 75%, so that we've still got a little bit of seeded money left. Like 3 years ago, I think we had to provide $460,000 to council for some shortfalls that we had. Last year was $80,000 that we used for shortfalls for council. So that gives us a little flexibility, that 25%.
And anything that you would want to change to use that $200,000 for after we approve this budget, as you said before, you would come back to us for that approval. You wouldn't spend it on something else without coming.
Sure, we can do that.
Is that what we talked?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you shared with me, right?
Anytime we change the seat of our plan.
Yep, that's exactly what I wanted to hear you say, because that's what you shared with me before. I want to make sure everybody was clear on that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Project 4, provide assistance to the Whitley County Council on Aging at $25,000. That's that matching grant that they have to have to be in operation. Project 5, funds for the Troy Center. I think they're up to 35 students right now at the Troy Center, and they're in their new building and trying to build that. They're doing a great job over there.
And that one, George, also says as needed, so is that an automatic $25,000 to them, or do they come to you as they have need, or?
They usually, any of these projects, they have to come to us and request the funds.
Okay.
It's available, but. Project 6 is provide assistance for the operation of the Whitley County Humane Shelter at $15,000.
Is that an increase?
No, that's actually, I think it's stable with what we had last year. The year before was $25,000. We've dropped it down to $15,000. Project 7, dispatch computer system and the system upgrade. If you remember, probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago, we had a presentation from J&K Communications because there have been some issues out on 30 and around the school that we didn't have clear communications, and we needed an upgrade for our system, and that was $28,000. And then we've got the $81,916 for the payment for the radios that we've still got for another 2 years. So I just combined those into the $110,000 for the upgrade and the payment for the radios for dispatch. Project 8, the loan for the health insurance. We're taking $150,000 out of our trust fund, plus the $100,000 from this, and that will be paid off. This month it'll be paid off. We'll have that all taken care of.
What kind of funds are going to be unspoken for out of your CETA funds? I mean, obviously you've done your work, I know that, but would it make more sense not to use that trust fund to pay more out of this, or is?
We usually, the trust fund, we've been very fortunate. Our employees are being very careful about how they go to the hospital and their wellness plans right now. So we're building up that trust fund. So I think we're going to be able to maybe even pay another payment out of that. We usually just pay payments ahead out of that, but I think it's just, one pocket or the other on that.
Okay, thank you.
Project 9 is assistance with the City Aquatic Center. We do this, we're going to do this yearly. We discussed this before for $10,000 for 2018.
And that's a 5-year total, right?
5-year total, but to be approved every year.
Annually approved.
On this particular project on it, myself and several other council members voted against that. My only suggestion on this, or idea on it, is if the Cherubusco Park System or the South Whitley Park System comes in and makes a request, that we give them the same consideration that we did to Columbia City Park System.
I think that's only proper.
Absolutely.
Project 10 we've got is the judges' chambers and security upgrade. We had Judge Rensselaer came to the commissioners with concerns for security in the judges' chambers, in his chambers, and so they're going to change a doorway into the judges' chambers, and also they're going to upgrade some furniture in the same project to make sure that we both judges' chambers will be same, and they've got some of that furniture that the judges have brought in that are the composite, and it needed to be upgraded. So we've asked for a $30,000 approval for that. Utilities assistance for community corrections. Community corrections came to us last year. They were going to be short on their utility payments and requested that we help them out on that for just this year. And we're asking council to approve that also. And then we've got Project 12, which is sanitary lines for the jail. That you've seen the pictures of that at $90,000. We're going to have to replace the sewer lines, and that's probably the major project that we've got to make sure that we get that done of anything. Courthouse chimney restoration at $70,879. Courthouse north and south sidewalk or jail, that would be your preference on that, jail restoration. And then the generator for community corrections. We've been so fortunate at community corrections that we haven't had any outages out there. But if we do, we don't have enough room in the jail. We have no plan B. So we need to get this generator set up for community corrections, and that's $64,000. Total cost on that's $295,479. And as you'll see, our estimated seated income for 2018 is going to be $1,015,000. Our encumbered funds from last year are $677,441.39. So our total seated funds that are available for 2018 would be $1.692, $441,039. We take 75% of that we will put into projects. That 75% comes out to $1.269. The 2018 projected expenses that we have on the different projects would be $170,479. So that for the 75%, we have funds remaining of $98,000, plus the 25% would be on top of that. That's what we try to hold back. So,
so you still have $98,000 that you would need to spend this year.
Yes.
We'll help you with that.
He can carry over.
Yeah.
The 98 can't.
No.
That's
we're supposed to spend at least 75% of those funds. But the 25% we usually carry over year to year. So commissioners would ask for your approval of our CETA plan for 2018.
My question is, if we approve this plan in its entirety, then these projects, you won't come back in on them as you go to spend them.
No.
That was going to be my question. We were approving the projects, the funding, as well as the plan.
Any changes we would, Jim, but
I think
Would the commissioners entertain on the jail exterior masonry restoration, funding that fully rather than just the 70,600?
I can speak for myself, but I can't speak for the other two commissioners. I could bring it before them, and we could, I mean, I'd be willing to bring it before the commissioners to see if they would approve that.
That will allow the cum cap funding to not recognize the $17,018 on it, and then we could utilize that cum cap later in the year for other projects that I'm sure will be coming.
All right. And I guess we look at that 98,000 the same way, that we could fund something else at the end, towards the end of the year, but.
Because at this time, we tabled the particular project of the jail exterior masonry restoration on it, and the balance would be that we're considering the $17,018 coming out of cum cap. So what is the council's thoughts?
Actually, I think that
I thought it was 24,285. 24,285 would be the number that we would have to go back and approve out of cum cap. Or whatever you would make as your motion.
Right.
But
But
the other part of it was completely absorbed by the seated. Prior to that, there would be no, we just have to go back and, well, we really don't have to do anything with that one. We just have to approve that the project proceed. So the first order of business would be for a motion for the seated plan as presented, with how you would want to, how anybody would make that motion.
I believe we approve the seated plan as presented. I think it's pretty well done.
with the change of the courthouse north-south sidewalks to...
Yeah, well, that take care of itself, actually.
As
far as the funds, we don't normally approve the money end of it. They come back to us every time. But this time, because it could be started if we approved them now on some of these funds, I move we approve the financial part of it also, their request now, so they don't have to come back to get that money to start a project we've already said we're going to do.
You're talking about, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
You're talking about the seated presentation as a whole, correct? Okay. Councilman Banks, go right ahead.
On project one, there's an increase for fees for services for the EDC, and I'm wondering, one, do we know what the difference was? I think maybe you mentioned last year it was 178. Is that what you said?
Right.
And did they justify the reason for the increase?
Normally, we just ask them for what they're going to request, because the seated plan truly is for economic development. And
Right.
so we don't really, I know that they've got new programs coming on, and it would be, I'm sure, for the new programs. We specifically did not ask for that, but, that's the one program that we do feel that is well worthwhile and is related to the seated plan.
Sure. And I agree, seated is for economic development. Just curious what the reason for the increase was.
I could do that. That John would be able to justify that. That's not an issue.
We have motion second, what?
So we do have a motion, and it's my understanding that the motion would then leave us open to funding the $24,285 out of cum cap, because you didn't include that in your motion, or was that in your motion, sir?
Yeah, it was in.
So, just for clarity, will you restate your motion, please?
Not sure I did. We approved the seated plan as presented, including the amounts of money, so that they don't have to come back to us to spend it, which we've always done in the past.
So with that understanding, we're kind of chasing our tail, though, because you have to get approval from the commissioners to absorb that other $24,000, so we can't approve the motion that we're making until we hear back from you. In essence.
Or you could approve it through cum cap.
Or we can approve it through cum cap.
Yeah.
So I guess we would, if that is the mindset, then we would need to table the approval of this, or we need to approve this and then approve the $24,285 out of cum cap.
They deal with that in a separate motion.
John, what's your advice on that?
Well, as anything, I would like to see us keep our cum cap as fluid as we can on it, and if we can get to $24,285 out of the seated project, I would suggest that we do that. But with Bill's motion on it, the only change I could see was it's listed as the courthouse north-south sidewalks, changing that to the jail masonry restoration, approving that with the $70,600 going towards the jail restoration on it, and then making a separate motion on the cum cap, either that or table that cum cap until we can get back with what the commissioners do. We could probably amend our motion on it to approve the seated plan with the exception of item C off project 12, and have that come back for a separate motion at our next meeting.
But do we need to approve these repair projects as a council if they're going to be paid for out of the seated funds that we're approving from the commissioner's recommendation? Essentially, it comes a moot point once they pay for the project. We don't need to approve the project. We're just approving the seated funds.
Right.
So we won't need to go back on. We would just simply need to table that one repair project until they came back to us on either yes or no for the $24,000, whether they would encompass that, and then if they don't, then we'll have to approve that project at that time.
Separate motion, approve it out of cum cap.
Mark, what's that going to do to your time frame on getting these repairs done in a timely manner?
Well, my hope was
My obvious movement to do that is so it can get moving, so they don't have to sit around for the council commissioners keep coming back.
So I have a motion to approve the commissioner's seated plan for 2018 with the sidewalk system being on hold.
Well, that's part of their plan.
You know what, this is going to get too confusing. I don't know that, because if we approve this, their plan, then they have to come back to us and ask for approval again to change the sidewalk plan to and move those funds to this plan, all based over the $24,285. I guess it would be my feeling, John, and I understand where you're coming from, but whether it's in the seated or cum cap, that $25,000 is still going to be available, and I think if we continue to work with the commissioners as we have been working with them, that we can spend that money wisely, and whether it's being requested from them or whether we have control over those funds. I guess I know we have a motion on the floor, but I've not heard a second, but I guess I would ask as as chair, that we move forward with approving the seated plan as it's presented, and then go back and readdressing the 24,285 out of cum cap to simplify just taking it from one pocket to the other.
I'll second
Can I
that.
ask Mark a question?
Absolutely.
Mark, what'd you, refresh our memory on that? There was something that was $11,000 for doing on top of the jail.
That was if we didn't do the 94,885, that's to do the entire outside.
Okay.
The minimum we needed to do was to
Okay, what if the commissioners did everything but the 11,000, you take the 11,000 out of the cum cap?
Preacher overworked, so.
Again, I think we're going to start running circles. I think if we just approve the seated budget as planned, and then we'll take the 24,000 out of the cum cap to make up the difference from the sidewalks to that project, in my mind would be the simplest way to do it.
I concur with your thoughts, so I'm going to give you a second.
Well, I don't have a second yet, because I didn't make it in the form of a motion. I was just addressing it. We do have a motion that's on the floor, so at this time, I would call for a second to the motion that has been made. Hearing no second, it dies. So now we're back to
Did you make a
square
second?
I did second it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I was unclear on that. All right, we have a motion and a second, then we'll put it to a vote. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor respond by raising your right hand. And John and Councilman Barrett and Councilman Overdeer voted for it, and all those opposed, right hand. And so it died, or it is voted down. So now that leaves us back to
A new motion.
a new motion.
So I make a motion, we approve the seated plan as presented.
I have a motion to approve the seated plan as presented, with the understanding that once the seated plan is approved, that it's at the discretion of the commissioners to spend that money without coming back to us unless there are unless there are any changes to what they've provided to us today.
Correct. That's correct.
I would ask for a second.
Okay, I'll second that.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the Commissioner's seated plan as presented, please respond by raising your right hand. And opposed, the same. And it has been passed by Councilman Barrett, Overdeer, LaRue, and Hodges, and voted no by Councilman Banks and Councilman Bayman.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And now we will go backwards to our last order of business today, or next to last order of business today, the $24,285. I would entertain a motion on how to cover those funds.
This is $24,500 for jail exterior.
$24,285 would be for the difference between the seated funds that were available of $70,600 and the total cost of the restoration project for the jail. The restoration project for the jail. So that's where the $24,285 number is being sought.
Has to come out of cum cap. I think we need to go forward with the jail exterior masonry restoration, so I do make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. I will call for further discussion. Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. At this time, all those in favor of the $24,285 coming from the QCAP to finish the project for the restoration of the jail, along with the money that the commissioners have committed from their seated budget, please respond by raising your right hand. And opposed, the same, and it did pass 6-0. George, anything else for us, please?
The only other things I have is DCS update. Department of Child Services is we've been working with for at least a year and a half. They would like to expand their presence in the annex. We've been working with them back and forth. Mark has been very good about coming up with some ideas and some layouts, and they didn't like our layouts. They had layouts that they wanted, so We've been going back and forth. As of December, commissioners asked that they would come up and meet face-to-face with us and determine, rather than having this go back and forth constantly. The realty company did say that they would come and make an appointment with us in January, February. It's March, haven't heard anything. And so at this point, the only thing we've got is we do have some repairs in the bathrooms that we're going to have to do, or upgrades in the bathrooms that eventually is going to have to be done in the annex. But right now, that's a dead project until we hear from the state. And then I'd like to ask that we schedule a personnel meeting. We did get our information back in from Michael Frisell, and I'm not sure. I think we as a personnel committee need to go over that and determine where we stand on that and where we're going to go from there. The information that we received is, as an example, there'd be a $41,000 job that he would estimate as a median for the $41,000. The high on that would be 51 and the low 31. I'm not sure whether that really helps us or not. So, but I want to hear from him. I wanted the personnel committee to work with him a little bit to make sure that we're on the same line that he is on that, and give him a chance to explain what he sent in to us. So hopefully we can get together. I'll send out a schedule of just some different dates to the committee and see if we can get together soon, within the next week to 2 weeks.
Sounds great.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you for that.
Other than that, that's it right now.
Hey, we had mentioned earlier that the panic button that issue was resolved yesterday in the commissioners' meeting. I apologize, I missed that. What was the resolution?
We approved out of our budget to, it was like a $700 expense, Mark. Yeah. It's what we're going to do is have a third-party monitor that.
Okay.
So that they'll be able to tell who's pushing the button, and it's just the best option for us right now.
That's great.
We're talking about the emergency button where?
Everywhere.
There's, three in this building?
There's more than that. How many?
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
So we're not talking about the jail's emergency buttons. We're talking about
here,
Government
yeah,
Center.
in the Government Center.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I was clear
The
on that.
panic buttons are not working right now, so we need to.
Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last month's meeting? At this time, I would ask for a motion to accept those minutes.
I move to be approved as written.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please raise your right hand.
One abstention, I was not here.
It is 5-0 vote in favor, with Councilman Barrett abstaining. Councilman Barrett, do you have anything else, please?
Yes, Angie, with our follow-up from our conversation yesterday about the county emails and the spam that came in, could you elaborate so everybody would have knowledge of it?
Mr. Barrett had received an email stating enclosed was escrow and title information. I also received it. It was from Bernard. When he tried to open it on his county email, it gave him red flags. Mine did not. I just deleted it, because actually it went to the P. Smith email address. It did not come to the WCHR at Whitley Gov email, but I'm still receiving all of Pam's emails. That email address has not been shut down yet. So after speaking with Ms. Barrett, I called Preferred IT to say, we are getting multiple spam emails. Is it working, basically? And their response was, when it comes from a valid account, spam won't red flag it. And Gabby's advice was, if you're not expecting to receive an email regarding escrow, just don't open it, and don't just click delete, actually do a controlled delete. So even though we do have spam filters on our county email, it's not 100% effective. we are getting more and more spam that is leaking through because they are using more valid addresses that they're sending them from. So, you got it too?
And then I actually let the computer shut down because I received a pop something of a virus and something I opened, and it looked like something very legit. It was from AIC.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But we're also receiving, preferred IT, when anybody goes and submits an IT issue, it's submitting a ticket, and they can do that through email, where their issue is sent directly to preferred IT. I get CC'd a copy of every ticket that is submitted, and I'll be honest, I get fake tickets all the time from random people who have nothing to do with county government, but they are able to submit a preferred IT help ticket with their PC.
In my particular case on it, I got the email 2 minutes apart on it. There was 2 of them on it.
2 of them?
I attempted to open it because I did not know whether the county had sold something in real estate,
Right.
escrow on it, and my individual protection system on it, red flagged it clear across the screen on it. So I called Angie on it, and I hope IT follows up on it.
I'll check again just to make sure that she knows that it is serious, but she says it's kind of out of her control at the same time.
That's all I have.
Councilman Overdeer?
No.
Councilman Bayman? Councilman LaRue?
No, sir.
Vice Chair?
No, sir.
And I have nothing else. Meeting is adjourned.
Sure, panic button, it doesn't work.